Welcome to STEAM Powered, where I have conversations with women in STEAM to learn a little bit about what they do and who they are. I'm your host, Michelle Ong. My guest today is Kriza Calumba. Kriza is an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines Mindanao who has a research interest in probiotics. She was awarded a Fulbright scholarship and completed her master's at Louisiana State University, where she researched non-dairy probiotic options, specifically incorporating durian rind into a probiotic ale. Join us as we talk about durian beer, Kriza's interest in local food industry and food science communication, and a new probiotic bubble tea business. Good morning, Kriza. Thank you so much for joining me today on STEAM Powered. It's wonderful to have you on.
Thank you, Michelle. It's also an honor to be a guest on your show.
Oh, thank you. You started out in food and nutrition sciences. So, what made you want to get into that area?
I finished my bachelor's degree in food technology from the University of the Philippines Mindanao, and it was initially because I love chemistry. I started loving chemistry when I was back in high school, and in the university that I joined, it was the course that was closest to chemistry because food technology has a lot of chemistry courses, and it just started from there.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, what do you love about chemistry?
I have no idea. I just enjoy numbers. And chemistry back in high school had a lot of, computations, and eventually I started loving it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, math is definitely your strong suit.
Yes.
So now you're in academia and you're doing both teaching and research. Is that what you saw yourself doing when you first enrolled in your course?
Probably. I enjoy teaching because I like interacting with a lot of people. I'm an extrovert and I like, the idea that I have the opportunity to influence others, especially the young ones.
Yes, definitely. And you with your research, I've seen your scholarly papers. You've written on quite a few topics, but you definitely have a preference for probiotics. So how did you get into the
Yes.
area of probiotics?
When I was in college, my undergraduate thesis was about lactic acid bacteria, but the application was different. I used it as a biopreservative for raw pork. When I got a Fulbright scholarship to study in the United States, I wanted a research that was still in line with lactic acid bacteria. And the laboratory group that I was working with in the United States, I was in Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They have been working on probiotic research, and that sparked my interest to work on probiotics as well.
So with probiotics, what in particular is interesting about the way that that field works and what you can discover in there?
I find it interesting because it's I can apply my knowledge about food science and food technology in a way that would improve the health of the general public. And for me, it's still an understudied topic, though we see a lot of papers on probiotics. But I think that there is still a lot of untapped potential in the field of food science dealing with probiotics.
Yeah. So, what sort of advancements or technologies are, involved in the potential of probiotics?
Well, probiotics are now widely used as treatment for, say, irritable bowel syndrome. However, in the food industry, there is still increasing research and efforts. There are increasing efforts on developing non-dairy probiotic food products because there are a lot of people who are lactose intolerant. There are a lot
Yes.
of vegetarians, vegans. So we are looking into that, and I think this still has a lot of potential. So we can use different resources. We can even tap indigenous resources in our
Yeah.
country to create these non-dairy probiotic food products.
Yeah. That's such a, yeah, definitely, because Yakult and all of those kind of dairy based things. But we've also got tablets, but it means that you have to, take the supplements as a separate thing. So, being able to integrate that into your diet, into common things, it's a great way of doing it. So with your research, the paper that that's just made the headlines for is for using durian rind in probiotic beer. So, with the combination of alcohol and bacteria, like that's not really compatible. So, how did you come up with the idea that this was an avenue to research?
Since I just mentioned that we are looking into non-dairy probiotic food products, so while I was discussing with my master's thesis advisor in the US, I just mentioned, several probable beverages, and I mentioned beer because I'm a beer lover myself. And I think that caught his attention, and he was like, "Okay, work on beer." And I was caught off guard because I had no idea that it would work. It was very very challenging. So I think it's because they say you have to work on what you love, and I love beer. So why not add some add some value to the typical beer?
Yeah, of
Yes.
course. Is home brewing and brewing beer something that you had an interest in before, or just imbibing?
Um, just consuming beer. But recently, actually this afternoon, I just made my say 2 weeks ago, I just started home brewing for the first time. It's
Oh,
my first
wow.
time to home brew on my
That's
own,
great.
and this afternoon I'm gonna go bottle my homebrew
Oh,
beer after this
amazing.
interview.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's such a cool process. So, that's something that well, you had to do that as part of your research for the paper. So you're just bringing that home with you now?
Well, this one is just like, I just wanted to do something on my own.
Yeah.
For my research, we used the university facilities, so
Yeah.
it's
It's a bit
I did
different.
not have to use my own stuff. But now I'm back here in the Philippines. I'm like, okay, how about I create my own beer?
That's great. Are you planning on adding probiotics to that while you're doing the homebrew?
We'll see.
We'll
We'll
see.
see. It's just challenging because to use probiotics in research, you need to have the lab because it will
Yes,
require microbiological work.
of course, definitely. Yeah, with going back to the durian rind, how did you come across the information that the durian rind would have a preservative effect on bacteria?
hmm I used the powder from durian rind as an immobilizer or as a protectant for the probiotic bacteria. I saw one study which used the durian rind to immobilize probiotics in soy milk. That was in soy
Yeah.
milk. So soy milk has a lot of nutrients. So perhaps that would have really worked. In my study, it's challenging because I worked on beer, which
Yes.
is not an ideal medium for the growth of probiotics. But at least that paper that I saw proved the concept that durian rind can be used as an immobilizer for probiotics.
That's cool. So, and also because like in your region, like durian is a massive
Yes,
industry. So
yes,
it's
exactly.
yeah, and it's great that you're able to use what would otherwise be a waste product into something that you could
Yes,
probably turn into new products. It's cool.
yes.
So yeah, and you've probably discussed this before. There's an old wives' tale that you're not supposed to consume durian with alcohol because all the fun stuff with
Mhm,
acetaldehydes.
mhm.
So, as part of your research, did that come up as a potential obstacle?
No,
No.
because I did not use the durian fruit itself. I was just interested in the rind, which I formed into a powder, and that is rich in fiber. And it
Right.
it honestly did not have any durian smell. It in
Yeah.
fact smelled so sweet. It smelled like caramel.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah. So yeah, didn't know whether it would have a similar effect with metabolism. That's cool. Yeah. So when you started, including or when you started your research with durian rinds and beer, did you think that it would make so many headlines?
No, honestly. It's funny because I finished that study last year. I graduated from Louisiana State University last year, and it just made news this year. It's because one of my fellow scholars in the Fulbright scholarship had me as a guest in his YouTube channel.
Oh,
That
that's
was
cool.
funny. Yes, and he made a poster. He included my, the topic of my research and all that. And that poster was seen by the news reporters. So that's where it started. I just wanted to do him a favor by, it was a startup YouTube channel. I just wanted to, okay, I can guest on your show. So,
Oh, yeah, you never know.
yeah.
So, and now, like, you've, as a result of all your probiotic stuff, you've also started up your own business. So tell me about your new business.
Okay. I've always had that passion for probiotics, right? And here in the Philippines, Filipinos love bubble tea, or we normally milk tea.
Yeah.
The increasing love of Filipinos for milk tea pushed me and my partner, there are two of us in the business, to start something new and to give an edge over the typical milk tea out there. And with my passion for probiotics, we decided to create a probiotic yogurt milk tea. So the yogurt is probiotic, and I'm sourcing it from a fellow friend.
Ooh,
She is also a food scientist who finished her master's in New Zealand. So
wow.
it's basically like a partnership. And so far, people are enjoying our probiotic yogurt milk tea, and I I appreciate the fact that I am able to, communicate science through this, and I can also do my simple experiments. Just recently, I determined the sugar content of our milk tea, and I compared it with known brands, and we found that the sugar content of our milk tea is really lower compared with the others. So aside from the probiotics, it's also healthier because it's really healthier, and also because it has low sugar.
That's
So I'm
cool.
just enjoying, being able to help others, to offer a health promoting option to the public.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So with the low sugar, is that a result of including your probiotics, or is it purely just an ingredient kind of component?
Exactly. It's because of the probiotics.
Oh, okay. So how does that lower the sugar levels?
So there are studies that show that probiotics are saccharolytic. So they eat sugar. So we tested the sugar before adding the yogurt. So we tested the sugar of the just the milk tea base and compared that with the sugar of the milk tea with the yogurt already. And there was a drastic decrease.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, definitely another selling point.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how do you and your partner juggle, your academic careers and full-time work with this new side business? Like that has and it's a startup as well. That's got to be challenging.
Yes. Well, I have to say it's really, really challenging, especially now that everything is online. So we have remote classes, and I handle 90 students this semester.
Oh, that's quite the
So it's
teaching
really,
load.
yes, it is a big teaching load. Well, I think it's just about prioritizing things. And at least now, the business is already it's starting to run smoothly. What was really difficult was the first stage, wherein I was still doing the research and development, developing the formulation. And I think that was the toughest one. And at that time, classes had not started yet. So I think it's just, everything is perfect timing. Now that
Yeah.
classes have started, the business is running smoothly already.
Well, food and beverage industry, a lot of hands-on work needed. So how do you manage that kind of or those kinds of responsibilities?
We have three full-time working staff in the shop, and at the end of the day, my partner and I just make sure to check how the operations went, check the sales, and all that. So we really give time to check on the shop every single day.
Yeah, definitely. Props to
Thank
you for
you.
all that. So, yeah, how long have you had it open now for?
Well, we opened on August 28th, so
Oh,
it's
so
running three
new.
months, almost 3 months.
Oh,
Yes, it's new.
oh, so new. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, business is doing well.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Fortunately, yes.
What's the quarantine situation like in in your region where you are? Like, was that problematic when you first opened the business, or were you running online for that during that time?
We were running online for a month, and so I think we started July. So for 1 month, we were just staying at home. We were preparing the product at home while the physical store was still being, renovated and all that. And when the physical store opened, we allowed dine-in customers, but we had to limit them. So per table, for instance, only two people can sit or can stay on one table. And now we're back on general community quarantine. So for food establishments, only takeout and deliveries are allowed. So we have partner delivery services, and we have to really invest on that just to ensure the safety of our
Of
customers and
course.
our rights.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, so many businesses I saw, even just local here, there were so many that were opening just as all of the restrictions kicked in. And you can see
Yes,
a few of them survived, a few of them didn't, just because they hadn't expected to have to pivot so quickly. So it's great
yes,
that you were able to do your soft open before the shop started, just to get that all going. It's
yes,
amazing.
yes.
Cool. So what are you're teaching, but you're also researching. So what's your current research
Mhm.
on?
Right now, I have a project on the indigenous vegetable consumption of adolescents. This was actually supposed to be finished months ago, but it was, because of this pandemic
Yeah,
that it got delayed. But aside from that, I'm also mentoring thesis advisees who are working on proposals on probiotics as well as beer.
that's cool.
So yes, those are my research projects now.
Oh, fantastic. So what's interesting, or what's the interest in the indigenous consumption of vegetables with adolescents? Like, why specifically that?
Before I went to the US, it was the research topic that it was one of my interests to
Yeah,
promote the utilization and consumption of indigenous vegetables. We actually published a study. This also got in the news. We
yeah,
utilized alugbati. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. It's an indigenous vegetable here in the country. Yes, we made alugbati egg noodles. So that was the thesis project of Miss Pam Soriano, and creating novel food products utilizing indigenous vegetables is, it has a long way to go.
yeah,
And
it does.
I think that um, it's really what do you call that? It's game changing.
It is. Yeah, like being able to incorporate a lot more
Yes,
of your indigenous food products, not having to rely so much, such like being able to use local instead of import products. That's so important to local
yes,
industry. So
yes, yes.
is that particular vegetable something that is commonly used, or is it just something that is less popular?
This vegetable is widely abundant here. Like you can just grow it in your backyard, but
Ah, very
it's
common.
not really it's not well studied.
Okay, so it's just local food.
Yes.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a great topic. You've researched the noodles with the indigenous vegetable, and your interest
Mhm.
in developing, you know, your work with the durian rinds as a byproduct of a major part of your food industry, and also the native sausage
Mhm.
in the way that meat vendors at local markets
Yeah.
produce their food. So, what's so
Mhm.
important to you about
Mhm.
the local food industry and developing, you know, research
Mhm.
in these areas?
Well, the Philippines has a lot of unutilized and underutilized resources, and I want to be able to contribute to, giving value to these resources. So that's one of my research interests. And in fact, we also published a paper. It's a review paper on the valorization of pomelo peel. So we know that pomelo is widely abundant in the Philippines as well. So, I've been involved in research studies promoting the utilization of these resources. And we are also looking into the consumption of, we're focusing on, children and adolescents, their consumption of these indigenous vegetables and fruits. And we just want to promote these by proving that these indigenous resources can improve our nutritional status.
That's great. So has that been a problem? I guess in the Philippines with people focusing more on import to other industries or other food products from other countries. Like, has there been a move away from eating local products?
Yes, yes. That's, it's because of the globalization, internationalization, and all that. But I saw that during this pandemic, there are a lot of, local products that are soaring in the market, in the online market. And I really appreciate that. And people usually use the hashtag support local.
Yeah.
And it's a really great way, of supporting these local initiatives.
Oh, that's fantastic. So yeah, it's great that people are starting to look into kind of bring everything back into domestic and local produce. That's cool. Is this something that the government is also trying to promote, or is it just something that you've noticed since the pandemic started?
It's just something that I noticed. Well, perhaps there should be, government efforts, government initiatives, but it's more on my immediate community.
Definitely something very
Mhm.
local.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So has the region of have there been others in the region of Davao where they've been doing this sort of thing as well?
Yes, I think that the academe is focused on that. We actually have research programs targeting these resources. For example, we are focusing on pomelo, cacao, banana, just to name some. So I commend the efforts of the government to fund research projects like this.
That's great. So, the things that you've listed, are those the ingredients that you're also incorporating into your new tea business?
Well, one of yes, yes, actually, yeah. One of our best sellers is the cacao milk tea. People love that. Yes. Yeah, so that's one way, being able to promote these through the business.
Yeah, that's great. Being able to give back to your local industry, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
that's very cool. Okay, well, awesome. Okay, so might move on to some extra questions. Just talking about a little bit of personal stuff. Not too personal. So, what hobby or
Sure.
interest do you have that is least related to your field of work?
I love dancing. I've
Ooh.
been, I've been into dancing since I was in high school. Even when I was in the US, in LSU, I was active in the International Cultural Center. I was
Oh.
teaching hip hop dance classes to international students.
Oh, that's great.
I had a I had a partner. He was Indian, so we called our dance class Bolly Hop dance class. So it's a mixture of Bollywood and hip hop, and I
Oh,
really
that's
enjoyed that.
great.
In fact, it yeah. In fact, because of that, I I was too energetic that I broke my knee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's it's a very unforgettable experience. So I was in the US for 2 years. I was in
Yeah.
the US for 2 years, and during my it was just last year. So last year I had a knee surgery to reconstruct my torn ACL. If you're
Oh
familiar with
my
that, the
goodness,
anterior
yeah.
cruciate ligament. Yeah. So my last semester at school, I was in a wheelchair. I was
Oh
on
no.
crutches. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So now
tragic.
I'm not sure if I can go back to, that typical hip hop dancing that I love.
Yeah.
I can just do TikTok, just the simple dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I really enjoy dancing.
Oh, that's a shame. So you haven't really done much dancing since?
Yeah, since the surgery,
Oh
I
no.
cannot dance too much.
Oh. Something you need to start looking into, especially if you love it so
Yeah.
much. And next, which childhood book holds the strongest memories for you?
Oh, I never loved reading.
Oh,
Yeah, I just started reading when I was in high school or
yeah.
in college. But what the books that I usually read were, inspirational books.
Ooh.
So I read the Purpose Driven Life
Ah,
like
yes.
several times already. Yes. So right now when I read books, I just like the inspirational ones or the Bible. I don't know, I cannot sustain my attention when reading like novels and all that.
Yeah, it does take a lot of
Uh-huh.
time. So, what's something that was in the purpose-driven life that really spoke to you?
Mm, I think that was during a challenging time in my life. So all the advice given, the pieces of advice that the book gave me, really made a difference in my life. So up until now, I still go back to some of these passages in the book, just
Yeah.
to keep me going.
Oh, that's good. It's good to be able to be keep motivated.
Yes.
It's great. And what advice would you give someone who wants to do what you do, or what advice should they ignore?
Well, probably in life in general, the advice that I can give is to, do what makes you happy. Because in the end, we all have to be happy. So if what you're doing now doesn't make you happy, or it probably would not make you happy in the future, then there's no point in doing what you're doing now. So I think that's really important because that will, keep us motivated. And time is gold, time is precious. So we have to spend time on things that really matter and spend
Yes.
time on people who really matter to us.
Yes, that is very important. Being able to, keep those strong connections close.
Yes.
Yeah. And what advice should they ignore?
Probably, yeah. You know, um, During this time, a lot of people will have comments on you, on what you do. So for me, it's also related to my first advice. Just ignore everybody. Just focus on yourself because in the end, it's your life. It's not theirs.
Yes, that's good. That's important.
Mhm.
It's very
Yes.
valuable. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much, Kriza, for speaking to me today. It's been absolutely
Thank
wonderful
you.
listening to your research and just learning about your
Thank
new
you.
enterprise. So, if people would
Uh,
like to learn more about you and your business and want to reach out, how can they do that?
they can reach me through email. So I can perhaps give you my email address later, and I also have a website which I still have to update, so they can reach me through those platforms.
Okay, great. So, I'll put those in the show notes and people will reach out to you then. Yeah. So, thank
Thank
you
you.
again. This has been absolutely wonderful. I love listening to your paper. It's
Thank you.
such a great idea. I mean, just being able to incorporate all these little things, especially since it's an uncommon kind of combination. It's great. Okay, so thank you again.
Thank
It's
you.
been wonderful, and I
Thank
hope you
you.
have an amazing day.
Thank you so much. You too.
There's definitely a lot of unexplored territory in the area of non-dairy probiotics, and it's so novel to hear about its application to healthfully augmented alcohol. One thing that may also have been unclear in our conversation is that durian is a major industry in the Davao region where Kriza is based, which is one of the reasons being able to incorporate durian rind into her research was so valuable. Kriza makes such a good point about encouraging support of local and native foods, and while it's something that we've observed here in Australia, considering where byproducts can further be incorporated into other goods is a great way that we can close the loop while further developing local industries. To learn more about Kriza and what we discussed in the show, or to connect with us, please visit the Steam Powered website at steampoweredshow.com. You can also reach out to Kriza via email and her website, the links of which will be in the show notes. If you enjoyed this conversation, please let me know. Subscribe to this channel, leave a comment below, and share this with your geeky and geek curious friends. You can also support Steam Powered on Patreon and Ko-fi under Steam Powered Show, the links for which will also be in the show notes. Thanks for watching!